two different shades of blue are showing what we've described as transparency and operability. The dark blue is really just visibility into a room, so we would have a regular door with glass in it and then windows, being able to have those rooms be activated but not enclosed, such that you'd be able to see well into them. And then the lighter blues, which are kind of on those zigzag walls, as you can see, are more of the operable ones. So we already discussed the overhead door at the entrance. A similar treatment would be considered in the between the multi-purpose room and the library to be able to kind of flow between these two spaces here. And then again, at this space, which I'll articulate about a little bit later, but that's kind of an innovation center where we really wanted to be able to open up that room and spill out into the library proper. Our renderings and the video will show this, but we responded with the type of flooring there too, where we've got hard surface flooring within the room and it spills out, so it's sort of a natural progression out into the main library space. Highlighted in green there, if you didn't miss it, or in like, I guess, dark teal, I'll call it, between the green, is what we dubbed kind of a genius bar. We heard the need, kind of never enough power stations for students, so those would be kind of dedicated power stations, in addition to what would be normal wall outlets anywhere else where we can get them. But this was a solution where we just wanted to make sure that it could integrate within furniture or other things, a place to plug in. We learned from Kim that students come, sit at the computer stations, the old computer lab, just to plug in their own devices, not to use those computers. So this was sort of our way to react to that. And then those yellow dots that dropped in are highlighting 6 what we call small group instruction spaces. So these are flexible rooms in which groups can get together for a variety of tasks. It can be a 20-minute makeup test of one individual. It could be a small group whose classroom happens to be using the library. It could be after-school clubs. It could be during school activities where a student and a group of students and a teacher own one room and do a project for the whole semester. So that's where the flexibility comes in, really kind of adapting that space to the needs that we heard about from our meetings with your staff. And then the large group instruction area is really a byproduct of those other walls being built, so being able to kind of encompass that space, and we've reacted to it with some ceiling changes and some floor treatments that we'll be able to see in the 3D in just a minute. So I mentioned the Innovation Center, which is at the bottom of the screen. So that's kind of that dark green and then showing how it would spill out. On the other end, we call that kind of a project area for students to come in and have access to everything from puzzles and chess games to scissors and tape, whatever they need to be doing, just coming right in, kind of a quick access, one-stop shop, like a Kinko's, if anybody remembers those, to be able to do what they need to. But also, that's one of those actuators, right? A reason to come to the library, draw them in, kind of pull them in more into the programming the library is offering. And the workroom, just defined behind the circulation desk, a reality of the need to be able to work on books or technology or check out certain technologies, whatever, resources, whatever might be kind of kept behind the circulation desk, as it were. The multi-purpose room then is a space that's going from having 6 tiers to 3 in our renovated. This is poorly articulated here, but we'll be able to see it in the 3D view. Really allowing each of the tiers as they remain to be activated with furniture so that it could be a much more usable seminar space that allows flexibility of group sizes and not just rows of people kind of looking at one thing. And then kind of ending backwards on the entrance, sort of highlighting that cafe area and how it too is intended to sort of spill in and blur the lines between outside library and inside library. The final little highlight here is kind of that central flex zone, as we're calling it, and in all of that dotted line space, there is just one piece of structure, one column right there, and then everything else can be open, so you can have full staff meetings in there, you can have 2 to 3 classrooms gathering, so a lot of flexibility that way. Also under that space is where we would have skylights.
You can see on this slide, we've got 4 12 by 12 skylights shown. The section shows somewhat how the light would spill into the space, coming from the south. That's a Renault Equinox. So, anyway, just to give you an idea how that would represent it, it shows a lot better in the 3D rendering. So.
Yeah, we studied a lot of options with this, and this was the most economical way to get the most amount of light in. So we're really excited to be able to kind of this is a part of this process.
Especially since the library's been buried within the building for so long, if we can get some natural daylight in there, it's really improved the space.
So next, we're gonna go through a series of still shots through the spaces. I'll just spend a second talking about what each of them are, and then we'll play a video, 2-minute video after that, kind of walking us through the space. This is one of those large group instruction areas. You can see how the articulation of kind of that yellow ceiling soffit move allows the space to be a little bit more articulated as an area without enclosing it in walls. Certainly furniture is gonna play a very big role in kind of helping finish off that thought. It's represented here just without any color or detail as we are talking about the space at this point. That's our Kinkos. I regret saying that and I regret repeating it, but it's the thing that will act as this all access area for students to be able to grab any of those materials that we previously discussed. But even something as simple as cabinetry we wanted to bring a little bit of life and fun into. The fact that there's transparency into it makes it more accessible and you can kind of know easily where to go to get whatever you're looking for.
If you could roll back to that, that also provides a place for us to dock the book drop. So the book cart would go within that gray cabinet right next to the 4-door unit.
This is then an early concept of that front cafe area. So looking straight ahead, you're seeing into the library with the overhead door being open. You see that little slot for the book drop next to it. But really this space is about kind of this wall and what it's doing to celebrate kind of the exciting library as it opens itself up onto the rest of the school. Some display areas within the library itself. We talked about different things that we wanted to be able to celebrate, both from student achievement to just the history of the school. We've got a backlog of yearbooks, things like that. And you can see then also the way that the floor is changing to be able to articulate different things happening within the space, where you move, where you don't, and the sort of tan color in the foreground is a hard surface, more resilient flooring responding to that project space that could get messier. That's a view of the circulation desk with the transaction counter in the center. The workroom can be seen behind. A very important detail of the workroom was that it can also see back into the multi-purpose space. So you see 2 layers of glass there to enable that visibility or that connection to be achieved. Standing next to the circulation desk, then looking back towards the open library. There's that one column that I pointed out in plan, but really what I hope you're looking at is the way that the sun is coming into this space and the skies are allowing this area to be bathed in that natural light. We've got the Innovation Center. So those are the walls that I talked about kind of opening up. Again, more of that casework, more of that built-in storage that's kind of more exciting, transcending just the idea of being storage, and then allowing sort of the activities happening in there, be it robotics or green screen activities would take place in here to spill out into the rest of the space. Another view from within there, technology kind of embedded so that the resources are all there. View of the small group instruction space, so you can see, small is relative, right? You can probably get 10 students in there if you tried, and the space is very slightly in square footage, so being able to offer different environments for teaching and learning to occur. And this is in the big open space. We're standing just off of the skylight being above us. And we've got 2 screens to be able to show whatever is going on, whatever's being taught or teacher training happening to all of that open space without any impediment to sort of people being able to visualize it. Here's that multi-purpose room, so kind of building out tiers, being able to utilize each of the tiers, and we'll move into the video.
One point out on this slide that there are 2 separate zones there. In the back you have another place where student groups could break out, and actually each one could have one of those TVs, the small presentations, and then you have the 2 TVs in the front of the main presentation space. So if everybody would have